Hello, my name is El-Filali Hamadi. I am a high school teacher in La'youn Saqi Al-Hamra Academy, and today I will be giving you a lesson about a grammar review about the past perfect continuous, and the simple past. So in this lesson today, we will be able to know when to use this particular tense or tenses, and we will be able to know how to use them, how to formulate the structure of the past perfect and the past perfect continuous. So let's have a look on this sentence, which is, I had waited for the bus before I took taxi. So I had waited for the bus before I took a taxi. So our verbs here are waited and took. So if we have a quick look on this verb, we know that it is formulated of two words, which is had and waited. And this is what we call it, the past perfect. The past perfect. So if you want to formulate the past perfect, or to put the verb in the past perfect, you say the subject plus had, and your verb must be in the past participle form. So this is the affirmative form of the past perfect. Affirmative form. For example, teach, I say I had taught, you had taught, and they had taught. And we have to bear in mind something about the past participle that you've seen before, which is verbs are divided into two groups, regular and irregular verbs. If the verb is regular, we add to the verb ed. For example, I look. The past participle or the third form will be I looked, means ed. If I have go, the past participle will be past participle will be gone. That's the third form. How to know this? You go to your books. In the last pages, there is a list of regular and irregular verbs. So, I had waited for the bus before I took a taxi. So here we have two actions. We have I took a taxi and I had waited for the bus. So now we will notice that the action of waited for the taxi happened before the action of took. So we use the past perfect when we have two actions and one of them occurred, happened, or took place before another action in the past, or before specific time in the past. So I had waited for the bus before I took a taxi. Let's have a look on this second sentence. After I had left town, you arrived. After I had left town, you arrived. The same thing. I had two actions which are had left and arrived. And leaving happened before arriving. So leaving happened before arriving. So if you want to ask a question in the past perfect, and that will be interrogative form, all what you have to do is to start with the auxiliary had, then your subject, then you keep the verb on third form or on past participle form. For example, we have I had waited, it will be had I waited. Had I waited. I had gone, it will be had I gone. You have looked, it will be had you looked. So this is the interrogative form of the past perfect. So let's have a look on this sentence as well. When you called me, I had already got the news. When you called me, I had already got the news. Here we have two actions again, called and had got. So if we put them together, we understand that when you called me, before that, I got the news. So the action of getting the news happened before your call. And that's exactly what is the past perfect is on. So we will pass now to the third form of the sentence, which is the negative form. The negative form is always the subject, starts with the subject, of course, and had not, or the short form is hadn't, plus the verb past participle. So here, if we want to use this sentence, we say, I had waited. Had you waited? I hadn't waited. She had left. Had she left? She hadn't left. She hadn't left. So there is another thing which is important about this example to notice is that we are dealing with two actions and two different tenses. Two actions and two different tenses. The first tense, as I said, is our past perfect in relation to the simple past. So these two tenses usually go together. Usually they go together because I said there's an action that happened before another action. So the first action is in the past perfect, the second action is simple past. So let's have a look here on this sentence as well. It's the same, just change it. When you called last night, I had got the news. When you called last night, I had got the news. It's the same sentence here. So here we say, when you called, and I used last night. That means I specify the time, which obliges me to use the simple past. Of course, what's the rest? The rest is the past perfect. So we use the past perfect with some time expressions like before, okay, and after, and until, as soon as, or when. So with these time expressions, we normally will have two sentences. One of them is past perfect, the second one is simple past, or the first one is simple past and the second should be in the past perfect. So how do we understand this? When we read the sentence, we try to understand which action happened first. It's clear here. When we say one is before two, that means one is before two. Two is after one. So these type of expressions, they make us understand the order of the action in the sentence. The order of the action in the sentence. And here if I say, I had waited for the bus before I took taxi. I had waited for the bus before I took taxi. Imagine I write this sentence. Imagine I wrote, I had waited for the bus for 3 hours before I took a taxi. I will have a problem with this sentence. It will not be accepted somehow because I said for 3 hours. Here I specify the duration of the action. That means the action is long. It's not a short action. I've been waiting for 3 hours. So here I should switch from the past perfect to the past perfect continuous. So here I would say I had been waiting. So I had been waiting for the bus for 3 hours. That means for a long period of time before I took taxi. So these two sentences, they may seem the same, but there is a little details here, which is the second sentence, we specify the duration of the action, which makes us use the continuous form. And the continuous form of the past perfect, it indicates that the action is long. It's not short. So I will give you another example. For example, after he studied English since, for example, after he studied English since 1995, he became a teacher. So here we have after, so we say that after he studies, that means the past perfect, but there is a detail here which he says that it's since 1995, that means from 1995 to now he's been studying. So here that indicates that the action of studying is not a short action, it's a rather a long action, and here we should say he had been studying English. So he had been studying English since 1995. He became a teacher finally. So today, as I said before, we are using the past perfect and the past perfect continuous in relation to the simple past. The only difference between, they are the same tenses. The only difference is that we use the past perfect when the action is short, and we use the past perfect continuous when the action is long. So they happen at the same point of time. So here, the time expression that indicates this tense are before, after, until, as soon as, and when. And I know that you are more concerned with your exercises or your exams. I will give you an exercise like this. Put the verb in the right tense. So I will give you a few sentences. I will make you put them in the right tense. For example, before I started my project, I made a full study of the market. Before I started my project, I made a full study of the market. So we try to put the verb in the right tense. Imagine you're dealing with this sentence. First thing you will have to look is the time expressions or the indicator. I call it the indicator, time indicators. You will say, here I have before, and here I start my project, I made a full study of the market. So let's have a look. Before I start, I made. So which one happened first? It's made. So this should be before I had made, and this will be I started. So before I started my project, I had made a full study of the market. Here again, you come to our city before I bought my house. You come to our city before I bought my house. So here we have before, here we have the verb in the simple past. Normally, the first verb should be in the past perfect, so I had come. So you had come to our city before I bought my house. Before I bought my house. So let's go to another two sets of sentences. So let's go back to this exercise, and I want you to have quick thoughts about it and try to do it. So after I tell him the truth, he felt happy. After I tell him the truth, he felt happy. So the time is indicator is after, and I have the verb felt is already in the simple past. That means we use the first verb in the past perfect. It will be I had, and the verb tell between parentheses should be made in the third form of the past participle, which is I had told. And your answer will be after I had told him the truth, he felt happy. Second sentence, when you called me last week, I decided to travel. When you called me last week, I decided to travel. So here we are asked to conjugate two verbs, which are call and decide. Call and decide. So we are in a little bit of problem here. So which one will be the simple past and which one will be the past perfect? Let's reread the sentence. When they call me last night. So we know that last night is an indicator, time indicator of the simple past. So yesterday, last night, last week, last month, or a specific date in the past. For example, in April, in the 2nd of April, in the 3rd of March, in 1995, in 2010. So all these are indicators of the simple past. So when you see an indicator of the simple past, you put the verb in the simple past, and you will have the verb will be called. Of course, don't forget regular and irregular verbs. So when they called me last night, I decide. So here's simple past. Rest is the past perfect. So I will say I had decided. I had decided, and my sentence will be, when they called me last night, I had decided to travel. When you visited me, my brother already informed us. So here a little bit easier because one of the verb is already conjugated, which is visited. So when you visited, that means the simple past, and here I will have automatically or normally the past perfect, which is I had informed. I only put the verb in the past participle. So before they had launched the development plan, the media talk about it for years. So the media talk about it for years. So before they had launched the development plan, the media talked about it for years, because here we have already the past perfect. So before they had launched the development plan, the media talked about it for a year, or was talking about it for a year. It's correct as well. So after they live here for many years, we finally became friends. After they live here for many years, we finally became friends. So here we have a verb between brackets and another verb which is already conjugated. So before, time indicator of the past perfect. I have the second verb in the simple past. Automatically, I will use the first verb in the past perfect, and that will be I had been living. Now, teacher, why I have been living? I have been living because here we have mentioned the duration. So I had been living here for many years. That means it's a long action. I said long action and short action. Okay. So as for time indicators for both tenses are the same, but when you want to use the past perfect continuous, you may find in the plus this main indicators, you might find others which are since, for example, all night, all week, all year, the whole year, the whole night. So when we have this time index, this indicators plus this time indicators, we know that we are dealing with the past perfect continuous. So let's have a quick review. So I said that we are dealing with two tenses, or rather one tense, which is the past perfect, and its long form, which is the past perfect continuous in relation to the simple past. So this indicates that when we have a sentence with the past perfect, we understand that we use it when we have an action that occurred in the past before another actions happened. So we have two actions. One happens first, that's past perfect. The second is a simple past. So as I said, I had waited for the bus before I took the taxi. So the action of waiting happened before the action of took. For you, if you want to deal with such sentences in your exercises or your exams, or you use it in your writing, or bear in mind the time indicators, because we have before, after, until, as soon as, when. So here we will have always two sentences. One of them should be in the simple past, and the second one should be in the past perfect. But if we have these time indicators plus these ones, we switch to the past perfect continuous. That means indicates that the action is long. And I said the question is put the verb in the right tense. So when I'm given a sentence to deal with its tenses, I should look for the time indicators first and look at the verbs. If one of them is already conjugated in the simple past, I put the other one in the past perfect, and if the one is conjugated in the past perfect, I put the other one in the past perfect. So, and until here I finish, and thank you very much, and hope you good luck next time.